we can shoot and kill our enemies, but it is time for them to be able to kill us, to shoot at us. So in this lesson, I'm going to implement enemy bullets. I will create another prefab for enemy bullets. In theory, you could just use the same one that we use for player bullets, but I'm thinking that you might want to extend this game and make your enemy bullets behave or have some other features. So I'm going to create another prefab. So I'm going to go to a new file. It will be called enemybullet.js. Enemybullet.js will be basically the same as player bullet, but it will be called enemy bullet. And enemy bullet, enemy bullet, enemy bullet. The next step is to create pool of objects for our enemy bullets, and all the games will share a common pool of objects for the bullets. So we don't need to create a pool of objects for each one of our enemies. If we go to game state and go to init enemies, this is where we'll initiate this pool of enemy bullets. So before I create this individual bullet, this individual enemy, I'm gonna enter a new group, create a group called enemy bullets this.add.group. It will have physics enabled body equals true, and we are gonna pass this group of bullets to our enemy. The enemy that we created is gonna, instead of having that empty array, is actually gonna have the group of bullets. What would be next? We have to actually make the enemy shoot. So if you go to enemy.js, at the start, see how we save these enemy bullets, and in here I'm gonna create a timer so that we can have a timer that every X number of seconds it will shoot again. You could even have the shooting frequency of each enemy as a parameter, so you could have enemies that shoot faster than others. But I'm just gonna do it like this. That will be up to you to change it and add a different frequency for each enemy. So I'm gonna call this enemy timer. I'll type this.game.time.create, and we give it the value of false. False means that the timer will not auto destroy once it finishes. So if we say shoot in 1 second and then after it shoots, the timer, we want to keep it alive, so it's not going to self-destroy. And actually we want to initiate this so that we can actually use it. Start. Then what would be next, we'll create a method called schedule shooting, and that one will make this thing actually start. So that will always schedule the next shooting. So say this shooting will happen in 2 seconds, and then after 2 seconds we will shoot, and we will schedule the follow-up shooting. So space hipster dot enemy dot prototype dot schedule shooting equals function. And what will happen here, we will shoot, right? We want to start by shooting. So all the enemies will start by shooting. This dot shoot. Then we will implement the shoot method. It's not there yet. And we set our timer for the next time. So enemy timer dot add, and we'll do it every 2 seconds. And this is where I said that that you could have your own custom frequency. So you, instead of this hard-coded value, you could have something like this dot frequency, and then you could have different numbers for different enemies. So what's going to happen in 2 seconds? We will schedule shooting again. This same method will be called again, and we pass the context. So that's it. Now one thing is that actually the bullets the bullets need to be initiated, right? So that's what we were missing, the shoot method. I was like, yes, we needed something else. Enemy.prototype.shoot equals function. And in here we'll actually use create our pool of objects behavior for our group of enemy bullets. So what you'll see below is the same that you've already seen in a few cases already. This .enemybullets.getFirst exists false. So try to get me a dead bullet. If you can't get me a dead bullet, then create one. So then bullet will be equal to new space hipster dot enemy bullet, and we'll pass it the game, and we need the coordinates, this dot x, this dot bottom. It will throw from the bottom of the enemy, and this dot enemy bullets dot add, and we add this bullet to our group so we can reuse it later. What else? We actually, if this does exist, just relocate it. So give it a reset to the coordinates of the enemy. This dot x, this dot y. And what else? Bullets should be moving at a certain speed. So you can have their velocity, which I'm gonna hard code to 100. But you could obviously have bullets that are faster than others. So now our enemy should actually be shooting every 2 seconds. But it seems that we have an error in line 71. So this dot space hipster dot enemy bullet. Right, so there was one error here, and it is that we are not including this yet in our index.html. So that's something that you always have to do. Let's see now if we have our enemy shooting. Yes, so as you can see, every 2 seconds the enemy is shooting. So last thing in here is to actually implement collision between the player and the enemy bullets. So I'm going to add that real quick because it's stuff that we've already seen. It doesn't have anything new in particular. So this is similar to what we had before. Now it's between the enemy bullets and this dot player, and instead of being damage enemy, it's going to be kill player, and kill player will be something very simple. Kill player will be killing the actual sprite. Kill, and we will restart this .game .state. We'll just restart the game state. So that would be the last check. Let's see what happens when now the player is hit by a bullet. Bullet is on its way and the game restarts. So you have now shooting enemies with bullets and explosions. To summarize what we did in this lesson, we created a new prefab for our enemy bullets. We created a new group for them, and we passed this group to all of our enemies. All the enemies refer to the same groups. It's not like every enemy has its own group. They all refer to the same group, because when you pass an array or a group or an object as a parameter, it's referred by reference. So if we modify this, we're actually modifying the original one that was passed. Whereas when you pass numbers or strings, you are modifying, you get like a new copy of them. So if you modify them, it doesn't modify the original ones. Whereas here, we are modifying the original ones. We implemented for shooting the usual pool of objects behavior. So we're reusing the same the dead ones when we can. When we can't, we create a new one. And then the scheduled shooting works with a timer where we shoot, and then every X number of seconds we shoot again. And this timer belongs to the